Welcome back to Fox Recaps. Today, I'm going to explain the movie Kung Fu Killer, released in the year 2014. At the start of the movie, a bruised and battered man named Mo enters the police station. Confused, the officer asks him about what happened, to which he replies that he killed someone. This shocks the officers and they quickly arrest him. A flashback then reveals that Mo accidentally killed an opponent while fighting in the ring. Mo could have easily escaped to avoid punishment, but as he is a sincere man, he decides to turn himself in. Following this, the movie fast-forwards 3 years. A female detective named Luke arrives at a crime scene where a man has been murdered. Soon, she gets to know that the victim was a professional boxer who had a habit of getting into fights. Detective Luke examines the wounds on his body and assumes he was tortured for several days before being killed. However, the forensics doctor concludes that he was killed by a very skilled fighter who didn't even give him a chance to defend himself. Meanwhile, as the group is investigating, they find a weird-looking dagger nearby. Elsewhere, Mo is seen in a prison where he's been staying low for the past 3 years. Some bully inmates often try to test his resolve, but Mo chooses to ignore them and continue with his chores. One day, the news of the boxer's death is displayed on TV and this catches Mo's attention. As he watches the news, he seems to be taken aback, as if he knows the victim. Following this, he rushes to the guard and requests to summon Detective Luke. He even confesses that he has information on the boxer's murder, but sadly, the guard simply mocks him and sends him away. Left with no choice, Mo reverts to violence in an attempt to attract Detective Luke. He picks a fight with a group of inmates and easily overpowers them with his devastating moves. After he breaks the leader's arms, a group of cops are forced to intervene and take them under custody. Later, the prison warden becomes suspicious of Mo's actions as he knows that the latter is not violent. Hence, he calls Detective Luke and sets up a meeting between them. In the next scene, Mo finally meets Detective Luke and claims that the boxer was a close friend of his. He then reveals that the murderer is not going to settle with just one kill. He wants to fight and eliminate all the best kung fu fighters so that he can become number 1. Hearing this, Detective Luke becomes confused and asks Mo how he knows all this. However, Mo cannot give a solid answer. He instead requests to be released so that he can help them catch the killer. This convinces the detectives that he's not trying to make things up to get out of prison. As a result, they decide to leave, but just then, Mo mentions the name of 7 fighters and claims that one of them will be the next target. He also reveals that he fought and defeated all these fighters over the years. Detective Luke is skeptical about the information. Nonetheless, she orders her junior to gather intel about the 7 people. Elsewhere, the anonymous murderer is sharpening his blade and writing the name Tom King Yi on the wall. King Yi is one of the names Mo had mentioned earlier. Meanwhile, King Yi is at a museum working on a massive skeleton. Just then, the killer appears out of nowhere and reveals his identity. He introduces himself as Feng Yu Sao and challenges King Yi to a death-defying battle. Soon, the fight commences, and both the men go hammer and tongs at each other. King Yi notices Yu Sao's legs are of varying lengths and that he's wearing a high-heeled shoe to balance his body. He mocks Yu Sao about his disability, but at the same time praises how he trained himself to be one of the best regardless of the dysfunction. The two then continue fighting expertly until Yu Sao breaks King Yi's legs and eventually kills him. As he departs, he leaves the same dagger behind as a souvenir. On the other hand, the officers at the police station investigate the 7 names and discover that they all have different occupations and live in different places, but are the best in their respective fields. They also learn that Mo was a martial arts instructor with thousands of followers before being imprisoned. As the group continues discussing, they get to know about King Yi's murder. This shocks Detective Luke as Mo's prediction has come true. The following morning, Detective Luke releases Mo with a temporary pass so that he can help them track down the killer. Mo quickly gets to work, and with the pattern of the killings, he concludes that the killer is targeting his victims based on their martial art techniques. At first, he killed the boxer, who was an expert at fistfights. Then he took out King Yi, who was a pioneer of kickboxing. With this, Mo concludes that the killer's next victim will be Wang Chi, a grappling expert. In the next scene, the cops quickly arrive at Wang's residence, but sadly, he's already been eliminated by the killer. After a while, they discover the dagger stabbed in Wang Chi's arm just as it had been in the previous murders. As the cops continue their investigation, Mo suddenly spots Yu Sao on the roof of a nearby building. Seeing his menacing smile and evil looks, Mo realizes that he is the killer and begins chasing him. The cops also help Mo in the chase, but Yu Sao is too clever to be apprehended. He leaps from one building to another, leaving Mo and the police behind. This frustrates the entire police team, but Mo takes this as an opportunity and flees the scene. Following this, Mo travels to his hometown of Fa Shan, where he meets his wife, Sin Ying. They're thrilled to be reunited after 3 years apart. Sin Ying takes him home and makes him wear a sacred band around his wrist, claiming that it'll help him control himself and fight only in self-defense. The same night, Mo notices a similar dagger in one of the boxes at his home and gets taken aback. Seeing her husband confused, Sin Ying reveals that a few months back, a strange man in a limping state came to their martial arts school and asked her to give the dagger to Mo. This shocks Mo even more, and his wife suggests they head to the town's historian to gather information about the strange dagger. The next scene depicts Yu Sao in a flashback with his cancer-stricken wife. Yu Sao is deeply affected by her condition, as she's the only one who accepts him for who he is. To keep his mind diverted, Yu Sao starts practicing martial arts day and night, while his wife takes her last breaths. In the present, Mo and his wife visit the historian to learn more about the dagger. They discover that the symbol is known as Eve's swallow. According to the historian, the dagger was given to the fighter who lost in a martial arts fight during the Qing dynasty. When Sin Ying tells the historian about the murderer, an older man sitting nearby hears the conversation and claims to know about him. He reveals that Yu Sao was born with legs of varying lengths, and this always made him feel inferior to others. Hence, after his wife died of cancer, he took it upon himself to become the best fighter in the country. Following the revelation, the old man also shares Yu Sao's location, and Mo quickly contacts Luke and briefs her with everything. In the next scene, the police, along with Mo and his wife, proceed to Yu Sao's residence, only to discover that he's already left the place. They then interrogate the landlady, who reveals that Yu Sao used to train the entire day with extreme techniques. He also used to rub coarse sea salt on his face until it bled. Mo explains that it's an ancient technique for thickening the skin so that it can withstand more beating. Following this, the police discover motivational words on the wall, indicating that Yu Sao wants to fight all the top martial arts experts and defeat them one by one. Meanwhile, Yu Sao approaches his next target, Hung Yip, a weapon expert. This time, he challenges Hung to a duel using swords, and the latter agrees. Soon, the duo get on with it, showcasing some of the best sword moves one can imagine. However, Yu Sao gets the upper hand and slices his opponent's throat, killing him instantly. He then walks away, but not before leaving his signature dagger there. After knowing about another murder, Detective Luke's superior pressures her to close the case as soon as possible. Stressed, he urges Mo to do the same, but he seems to be hiding something from them. A flashback reveals that when Mo was in prison, he got a letter from Yu Sao one day. Mo could not decipher the meaning of the letter that day, but he now realizes that he is the final person Yu Sao wishes to fight. Detective Luke also starts to suspect Mo and asks the prison for the CCTV footage of every meeting he's had with an outsider. At night, Mo is sitting alone in his room when he remembers the day before the first murder took place. Yu Sao had sent him a letter asking him to watch the news. The next day, the police locate Yu Sao's current location and deploy a SWAT team to it. When the SWAT team indicates that the area is clear, Detective Luke and the other officers enter the house. They search the entire place but come up empty-handed. As a result, the entire team decides to leave, but just then, they discover Yu Sao's wife's ashes in an urn. They also learn that her birthday is near, which means he will definitely return soon. Detective Luke then orders the officers to redeploy and remain hidden until Yu Sao returns. As expected, Yu Sao returns home in a boat the next day. We are then taken to a flashback where Yu Sao sits beside his sick wife. Her condition has become so severe that she can't even move her hands properly. Yu Sao cannot stand seeing her struggle anymore, so he kills her by strangling her neck with his bare hands. Back in the present, the cops notice him and wait for him to approach. Unfortunately, Yu Sao notices the guard dogs roaming the neighborhood and realizes something is wrong. As a result, he turns the boat around and quickly flees the scene. In the next scene, an officer at the police station investigates the CCTV footage and discovers that Yu Sao had arrived at the prison to meet Mo. The officer quickly informs Luke about the scenario and asks to arrest Mo immediately. Luke then points the gun at Mo, believing that he and Yu Sao are working together to commit the murders. However, Mo snatches the weapon from Luke's grasp and flees to pursue Yu Sao. Meanwhile, Sin Ying sets out on her own to find Yu Sao. After a while, she discovers Yu Sao inside the house and confronts him about the murders. Sin Ying then shows him his wife's ashes and promises to exchange it in return for his husband's life. However, Yu Sao claims that Mo will be more decisive if he kills her. They get into a fight, and Sin Ying, who is also a trained fighter, gives him tough competition. But eventually, he stabs her in the arm and runs away. A while later, Mo arrives to see his wife lifeless on the floor and immediately calls for help. Just then, he notices Yu Sao right outside the house and jumps to catch him. They both crash on a boat, causing the urn to break into pieces. Soon, the duo fall into the river, but even there they continue fighting. Yu Sao eventually gets the upper hand, and sensing the opportunity, he climbs onto another boat and drives away. He eventually crashes into a boat with Detective Luke and the police officers, but disappears soon after. Mo also runs away after making sure his wife will be saved. Later, he calls Detective Luke and reveals that Yu Sao blackmailed him by plotting to kill Sin Ying. Mo also admits that he hid it from the cops because they wouldn't have let him out of prison had they known earlier. He then somehow convinces the detective that he's not partnered up with Yu Sao. In the next scene, Mo learns of Yu Sao's next target and goes to confront him. After a while, he spots Yu Sao in the middle of a highway, but doesn't run him over as he wants a fair fight. On the other hand, Yu Sao also gets excited to fight Mo, as he was on the top of his priority list. Soon, the duo greet each other, show their respects, and start their battle. As they're both extremely good fighters, they cancel out each other's blows in the first few minutes. Soon, the duo gets a hold of bamboo sticks and start fighting with them. Suddenly, Mo's cloth becomes entangled in a truck, causing him to be dragged a little further. As a result, Mo is knocked out, and taking its advantage, Yu Sao pulls him to the other side of the road. He is about to kill Mo, but just then, Detective Luke arrives at the scene and shoots him to death. Following this, she quickly summons an ambulance, and Mo is transported to the hospital. 3 months pass by, and Mo is again in the same prison. One day, Detective Luke approaches him and informs that he's going to be released soon. The movie ends as Mo and his wife take pictures with several students from their martial arts school. That was all from the video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for more content like this, and hit the like button to help us out. Also, leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Until next time, take care.